Hi everyone, this is the Psychic Sleuth, and I'm redoing the video because apparently I did 30 minutes and there's no sound on it. So that's just like great. So I have to redo it again. I've already done it for 3 hours. I wasn't going to redo it tonight, but I want to get it over with. So basically I did a reading on Mackenzie 23rd and 25th. I did 2 readings and it was posted in the Psychic Sleuth group before anything ever came out. So I do, if you guys, need to look in there, you don't believe me that that's what happened. I was just so exhausted from doing the readings, I didn't get the video out in time. So the Sleuth is a good place for you to be a part of, just because I get things posted in there faster. We do validations there, especially for the random auto writes and stuff like that, things that may connect. So that's a good place to be. And also there's a petition going around. I will post it in the description. If you guys could please sign it, please. If you follow me, if you like me, if you have anything negative to say, just please don't say it. I'd rather you just don't sign it. But if you can sign it, if you like, if you're supportive of me and who I am, please do so. With that being said, so my readings can be past, present, or future. My other cases do interconnect. So all of this may not fit with this case. Whatever doesn't fit with this case is going to fit somewhere else. This may be a couple things that are being described here. So this is a very, very weird reading. Some is going to be very graphic and very weird. Mine things can be symbolic as well. Symbolism is really big in my readings and in all readings, for that matter of fact. I already do realize a few interconnects here, and everything I get is going to make sense somewhere. So, also things can have multiple meanings. Things can come in that's connected to her and her situation, people connected to her, or a person or people surrounding the case, or that are connected to the POI. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. Also, as far as areas are concerned, I'll get things in vicinity, things that are past, things that are around. So, there was a few things I wanted to mention. Rose has been really big lately, and it came in for a long time now. I actually named my cat Rose about 2 years ago, but it's funny because when I name things certain names, it ends up coming in somewhere. I don't know, it's weird. But anyways, so it came through in Cheryl, it came through in Savannah, it's come through before. Actually, a case I did on Samantha Guthrie where I did not release it. There was a lot of stuff that I got that did not pertain to her. I did get a bonfire in a backyard with her. I also, this was back in September of last year, I believe. Or no, sorry, not September, November of last year. There was a bonfire that was talked about there. There was drugs that was talked about. The bonfire was in the backyard, and there was a few other references. It's in the group. I have screenshots, all of that. So I think it might actually connect here, which is kind of weird because it really didn't connect there, but the cases are very, very similar. Also, my clairsentience isn't great as far as finding things on a map or being drawn to a certain area as far as finding bodies. It's something I've been working on. It's something that I'm hoping will get stronger, and it seems to be. So the 25th, after we were done, we were looking on the map, and we did find Rose Park. And I was like, oh, interesting, Rose, because of Rose Park, and there were some water towers there, and 15 was there, and Jordan River was there, and I was like, okay, this is interesting, but it wasn't matching what I was seeing. So, because it wasn't matching what I was seeing, I was like, oh, that can't be right, so I left it. Well, I did keep thinking about it, but we didn't go back. Turns out the next day they had validation on that, so there was a reason we were drawn there. Heather can vouch for me. She found it with me. I have screenshots if you would like to see it. Also, another place, Box Elder, I was drawn to. There was a boy that was found out there today in Box Elder County, and also, so now I know why I was drawn there. I think that the peaches and the fruit might have something to do with it, because apparently they have those festivals out there. Also, there was a body found off at Rose Street in Ohio. I think it was a couple days ago, so that was interesting as well. So let's go ahead and get on to the reading. 6/23/19. One thing I know, I felt like she met him through some kind of arrangement, and like I said, This might have, might talk about more than one instance, more than one case. As you know, my things interconnect, so I think you need to keep in mind, okay? And I am going to validate a couple things I just heard before I made this video. So the first thing in my visions that started before the reading was a windy road and then to a lake, so it could be just symbolic of the Salt Lake City. And there was a weird vibe with sex trafficking, prostitutions, but I was struggling. I was getting a reference to Jay, and then I kept getting a car. It was a darker color, and when you drive at night, like the lights set off for the street lights. And then it was kind of flipping. So when I was talking to the girls, I was seeing like she was sitting with scrubs, and she was sitting in the corner of the room, and her legs were up, and she was in a dark room. Dark room. Could be where she was held or symbolic or for some reason. I heard runner, and I found out later that the lady that had supposedly fallen off a cliff, she was a runner. I kept seeing this house, and it was an area, oh, sorry. I kept seeing this house, and there was a mention of, let's see, she says, why? It says, let's just on the way, don't worry, just take a second. A-frame house looked to be off on its own. White, I believe. And then the number 27 came in, word Alcott, word trail. I get the smell of water, though, like close to water, a lot of trees, breezy. There was a reference to Indian earlier, not a native Indian, but Indian, or that type, or Hindu, India, around that. I saw, like, I called them do-rags, but that's not what they are. They're turbans. So I put that was the wrong word for it, and I apologize. Later, this became fusing, but it could make sense. And then, so I saw kicking and screaming, and there wasn't, at this point, I didn't see any other houses around. There's a reference to not really keeping the girls all that long before they kill them. Just move them depending on how much trouble they are. And then I was also drawn to Murray, and I found out later that this was significant, but also there was a girl named Murray that was found in the Jordan River. Also, so that could, that's probably two reasons why I was drawn there. And she's sort of a spitfire, feisty girl. If she wants to be in the vision in the corner in the basement, it's either a basement or a boarded up room, and she's wearing light blue scrubs. And I'm wondering if someone wasn't in the medical field or community or wants to be, because the scrub she was wearing was pretty weird. And then I did find out that the place she used to work, they did have blue scrubs later on. And also the doctor that she worked with was Indian, so that's kind of weird. And so then it felt like kind of a movie, and she was on one of those types of beds where they do surgeries. And she was restrained, or I don't know if it was her, it was just a girl. And then I heard beeping machines, and I got a quick vision of her being choked. I felt like it was some kind of weird foreplay. Then I'm hearing if maybe the cops weren't just caring at the very beginning because they just thought she ran away or whatever. Reminds me of some kind of sex trafficking, but there's also a reference to body parts type thing. So I don't know if it was possible organ trafficking or whatever, or something like that, but I heard pieces. And then there's a guy standing over, has a scalpel and like a medical mask that's covering his face. It was so weird. I was like, what the heck's going on? And then my attention was taken to I-15, and 15 has come in for a while now, and then a windy road. And then I know I talked about this before, but I heard the word crystal, and then there was a reference to highly religious type area, or someone that's maybe like that. Also, but it came in like an area. So also there was a sort of cliff with water rushing below. So that could be symbolic. Like in Malia, the lake was symbolic. She wasn't actually in a lake, although she was submerged in water for a couple weeks. The road's name was Lake. And then also I found out another thing about Malia is that she had pumpkins behind her. So sorry, I just had to throw that in there. So hearing word beehive, I did not realize it was a beehive state. A reference to a reference to O, I couldn't quite make out the name. A reference to road that goes between mountains. A reference to high, like HY or HI sound. Hearing word sender, could be symbolic for burning. So I'm wondering if this house is connected to more land or more part, because I kept reading reference to where bodies are burned. like they do in a mortuary, or incineration of bodies. And then I kept getting reference to a well-known doctor that doesn't look American, dark hair, dark eyes, darker skin, may have an Indian descent somewhere, or he's either a doctor, he thinks he's a doctor, I don't know if he practices or not. He may have his license or he may not, but again, there was a reference to the bodies being incinerated, or body being incinerated. And I saw pieces of people just thrown over a cliff that could be symbolic. And then, I don't know, it was weird. I was getting sick to my stomach. I felt like I was in a nightmare. And then I heard word trapped. And I see, like, her talking to a girl asking what they do to people there. And then, I don't know if this is now or when she got there. I was trying to see if she was still alive. It was very hazy at this point on the 23rd. And I think in either way, there's either very good or just untouchable kind of feel to it. Reference to October or Halloween, there's pumpkins and symbolic of bats. I actually am going to do Sharon Powell, and her birthday is near Halloween, so I was thinking maybe she was kind of coming in, and I think she may have been for a while. I do feel this place is right after you come through the mountains, and or I was getting reference to coming through the mountains and then going over to the right side, right before the lake. And then I was hearing a word osprey, and then a reference to a lake with white around it. It can be close to the water or just in Salt Lake City, but I could smell it. It had a sort of salty smell. It reminded me of the ocean, but it wasn't. Woodsy somewhere, lots of trees, like that. Hillshire, or something that sounds like it, because I heard Hillshire Farms. And I see people with pitchforks, but there is a validation that's going to come in later about the pitchforks. I don't really know where it came from, but I do have a lot of validations already backed up so far. I just didn't want to put it out yet because I feel like more is going to come out of this. So I felt like this was like in a horror movie. Maybe that's how she felt, but thinking of ways to get away, and there was something about her look that they liked, and then there was a link to sex trafficking, or they could do both, maybe with the body parts. But also there was a reference to I was seeing a black guy that night, and it was like later in the night, and I didn't really know where it belonged, and it was kind of like a flash. And so now I'm thinking it might have been this one, but I'm not quite sure why I was getting that, because a lot of this was actually the Indian stuff was coming in. But anyways, so then there's the experimental stuff that's ran by this doctor, wannabe doctor, and I get like the word Amar or something like that. And then I was shown a watch, so I don't know if it was symbolic, or running out means, so I don't know if it meant just like maybe running out of time, or or somebody has a specific watch. I felt drugged, and there's some sort of bruising, being thrown around, beat around, pulled by my hair, being shown a doctor's office, and also a hospital. Can connect to him, or both. Maybe payoff somewhere, I don't know. Doesn't like the attention of it. Too many people looking for her. I heard tick tock, and there was a watch again, or clock, and symbolic, and then something in the name with watchtower. May just reiterate the clock or the watch. Watched and known by people, so it could mean that as well, I guess. In reference to purple crystals and dark crystals, that's come in before. Usually reference to mine. Also reference to blue. Blue is big in this case. Turns out the house they were looking at is like a bluish color. And the pictures I'm going to try to show you guys, I did write pink in there, and I didn't know why. It just kept coming in. It wouldn't go away. Turns out there's a pink house next door with 548, and I ended up getting the numbers 4 and 8. And that's right next door, and then the other side's like an orangish yellowish color. And so that was another validation that I found out that I was kind of blown away by, because she kept giving me like colors, and I was like, what is this, a rainbow again? So anyways, there was a reference to a heart, so I don't know if there was something to a heart surgeon or something, but or someone in the cardio field. Also can be symbolic of love or like attraction. The hospital that I got a couple months ago could fit here, I guess. Hearing the words braids, I don't know why. There was a reference to yellow, and then a reference to color green, and then orange for some reason. And then, like I said, pink. May have significance in some way. The color blue I get. Light blue scrubs may be worn at the hospital, or maybe he's making her wear them now. There was reference to red. Also seeing a Rubik's Cube. This came in Delphi, so I don't know. It could be symbolic for maybe a puzzle, like this is a puzzle, or he's smart. And I kept getting reference to an area that's like a beach, or reminds you of a beach. Hearing, you have to save them, and then she shows me books. So this can usually symbolize school for me. You know, a lot of times in readings it'll be for college or whatnot, but there can be multiple meanings for this. It fits where it fits. Reference to January, reference to 43, reference to 87. You have to save them, meaning others, and then question mark. Letter G. And I heard the word jihad, and I'm sorry if that's not good to say. It's just, I was just saying what I hear. Hearing university. So there's a connect there. Hearing stalking and crime of opportunity. Hearing catfished. And that cliff, I kept seeing body parts being thrown over, so I don't know if it's some symbolic or actually happened. I was shown a shiny ruby, and I felt like I was in a horror movie. And then the reading on 625, I was getting a reference to flower, and I'm thinking that might connect to Noah, but I'm not sure. So, and then I was hearing Lucy and Lucky. There's also a flower place close by to that house they were looking at, I think, if I remember right. She goes back to the same vision, and it was with her in the corner in the light blue scrubs. She's dirty, her hair's scraggly, she keeps looking for a way out. And at this time I didn't know she was passed or not. So I kept seeing earlier, and I was it was her being on this bed with straps to her wrists. Reference to foreplay, and reference to hands around throat, but not killing her yet, and then reference to a scalpel. I saw him with a mask like surgeon wears, and he was looking at the scalpel back and forth like, it was really creepy. Possible serial killer, or on his way to being one. Maybe into weird things, maybe even selling or keeping parts or pieces. So, I mean, that could be this situation, it could be a different one. It kind of, I think, is all going to tie in some way, somehow or another. Just because I now found out that she used to work for an Indian doctor, and they had, his name starts with an A, and they had blue scrubs, and I guess he wasn't very nice, and I don't know. It's just, there was a lot of reference to that here, so could just be a connection to her. It might not mean anything, but thought it was kind of interesting. And then, let's see, there's a reference to pieces, or keeping parts, selling parts, or pieces. And then there's a reference to look for girls. I kept getting like a reference to a serial killer, one that goes on a site to get dirty little whores, I hear. Maybe even on the street too, or in different areas. He acts like he wants a dirty little girl, but it's just that he actually despises them. And the way that they are. And then there was a reference to an older Indian heritage, maybe in a bloodline or a street name, etc. Reference to an area. He could have had that look about him, but I get reference to dark wavish hair, thicker, and brown eyes, and his mouth is covered by a mask he wears. And then there's a he's handsome and they fall for it, and I think this might be talking about two different people. Because like I said, readings come in mixed in, so you can't take everything in the same order, because it doesn't always come in the right order, you know what I mean? So it kind of fits how it fits. And then he may just be, does this for real, or it's just an experimental thing, and torture. And I keep hearing Travis as well, and playing Charming and Rich. Travis came out in a few times, so somehow I think it's going to fit into another case or something. Or maybe later on down the line, but is really after ones that take the bait, very discreet. I think he holds them for a certain time. I got reference to a secluded house that he has, no one really knows about. And I think he does pay people for privacy, and then he has these little people, his little people, I guess, grab her out of the car. That could just be like some kind of mental thing or something, I don't know, symbolic. But they were big in the vision anyways. I can smell salt air from the house and overlook the lake in a sense, or it's right out of the mountains before the lake. Interesting, the letter P. And I got reference to the word berry too, like B-R-R-Y, and I'm shown a moon and sky. And this is white house. It doesn't look like much. There's an underground, but there is an underground room somewhere, or something that's like one. Dark, no windows, and dirty. Reminds me of a basement because the floor looks dirty. It looks also soundproofed. I don't know if that was already soundproof or was going to be, but it looked that way. And I was getting set up with a hospital bed and restraints and machines because I could hear them beeping. And there was something around her mouth, or something around her head and her mouth. It reminds me, like, to keep her from screaming. And it reminded me of a movie where they get these escorts and do experiments on them. When I get reference to shows or movies, it usually means it's similar. And then some's set up and things to cause pain. I kept getting torture, and I don't think this was like an X or anything like that. It didn't feel like that. Client, so to speak, came in, and I'm not sure about the meeting before. I wasn't sure about that. And then I got reference to a dark color sedan again. These might be two different cars or same car, only because it was dark color sedan of some sort, very shiny, tinted windows. That's the same car I think I got before, but there's an interesting word that came in after one, so I'm not really sure. And then he does have a bit of an accent, but I couldn't make it out. And then it sounded Indian, honestly. And then I hear a week, and then he doesn't really have those. He likes mostly blondes and brunettes, prostitute or someone like that. Hearing call girls, escorts, and I hear dirty little whores again, and I don't know if this is the same situation or something completely different, and this is a team, or it's a split personality, but I kept getting two different people, and because I saw one that wasn't really Indian, but had a bit of gray in his beard, and then, mustache, dark wavish hair, dark eyes, but he could have, like, had Indian in him, it's kind of weird what I was seeing. And then the other guy's younger, maybe father and son, because I heard father and son, so I don't know if it's going to be a different case or not, because I did do an auto write, and in the auto write, I got body parts washing up, so I don't know if that's going to be connected to here or not. It was kind of weird how it was coming in, but I think that it's important, just because of the situation and everything that we just found out. I'm hearing, like, these little whores. She's a whore just like they are. It was tripping me out. I felt like I was in a horror movie, and then I kept hearing a buzzsaw. And I didn't want to see that. And then I see blood splash on the plastic. And she got herself in with some crazies. These people are absolutely psycho, pure evil. And I think that they do have a thing with body parts, or there's somewhere connected to this that does. Hair trinkets, so some are kept. It's so vivid. Heard the word factory. It made me nauseous. I kept trying to see if he's actually a doctor or with medical training or what. Seems to know stuff. There's a reference to scrubs she's wearing. So I kept getting connection to her work for some reason. Also, green leaves, and like one big green leaf with a point on the end. You know, the ones that are oval shaped like that. And then at that time I didn't think she was alive anymore. And because it'd been over a week. Plus, I'm going to mention in a minute what I was seeing. But there's something with her phone as well. I'm not sure I saw that it was smashed. But also, there was a reference to threatening the parents or loved ones. And then it's weird. So I got, like, she gets into the sedan and it's black and tinted windows. And then I think it's a younger guy or whatever's in the back and puts a rag of chloroform over her mouth. And I don't know if this is her, if it's a separate situation. I know, I'm sorry if it's confusing. Sometimes it is like that. Let's see. And then she wakens up in the house, and then there's something with the lift situation. I don't really know. I can't really put my finger on it. I honestly, I don't know. I think she's passed then, because I see her face lifeless, or will be, but at that time I think she did, with eyes open, and I apologize for that. And then I kept getting a reference to a week, and then now I think all this is going to fit somewhere, some way, somehow, some case, either this one or another one. But reference to J again, and then I also heard word party girls, and so then A and J both came in. Or girls that act that way, and he did keep her drugged up. I got reference to drugs, and then I kept getting reference to a cliff, and then I can't shake if it's really a name or a cliff, like we said, symbolic. And I saw water below, and there was reference to Salt Lake between the mountains and the lake. Number 4, number 8, and then could also be 84, 48. Either way or separate, but I think it might be 48. Number 12, and number 15, and number 64. Month of August, hearing words prominent. Someone was prominent. Older man, wear glasses, maybe reading, look like silver-rimmed. And then he actually looks handsome. And where he picked her up at no one saw, there wasn't street lights. She's saying that for sure. And then the car has tinted windows, and it's a 2-door. And that's what I was talking about. I don't know if it's the same car or not, because then I got to show an actual Jaguar, or Leopard, but it reminded me of a Jaguar, and so it could not necessarily be that car, but it looks like one, or remind you of one. It's just a way that things get referenced to me. Letter X and letter F, and then there's something with the word fry, and then I heard peaches, then R again, and then I heard separate robotics, and then again reference with blue. These things can have multiple meanings, and then I don't know if it's a road or a name, I don't know if the road has a name, but I heard rocks under it, under the tires, that the one that is in between, after you go in between the mountains before the lake. And then I was surrounded by rockiness, but I could smell the water, and that was on the other side of the hill. There's a house, and then there's a rockiness there. And then there has to be a cliff, or it's in a name, or both, or one or the other. And then she's saying she could be bitchy at times, bitchy way about her at times. And then she's showing me her wallet, and it's open, so I don't know if it was empty, that she didn't have money, or if they kept it or threw it. Because I do feel that they kept trophies, because I got reference to a movie or a show that I saw from Into the Dark, where the girl's dad was a serial killer, and he kept jewelry from his victims. And then he killed the girls that remind him of his wife or something. There might be some similarities to that. And then, letter B, and then I kept wanting to go to the map on Murray, and turns out it's significant. Plus, there was a girl named Murray that was found in the Jordan River. Well, her last name was. But I see that there's more than one residence, but the killer house under lock and key. And then I'm drawn to the edge of the mountain right before the lake, like I said. Reference to flowing water of some kind, or a creek or a river, and a draw to Jordan. And Jordan was in the auto right. Word mill. Now, she did work at Mill Creek with this doctor that I mentioned. So, reference to cherry, or I'm shown cherry. That has also come in a lot. But on a tattoo, it can be symbolic, I guess. But cherries come in for months. Then when I was doing another reading, I heard Dale, and I thought it was D-A-L-E. It could be D-E-L-L as well, but then I heard Riverdale, but it came in separately. So the reference to G again, and then I think Travis is really strong because it came in a couple times. Also the word nickel or nickels, it could be a last name or some other reason. Word London, letter B again, and Travis I thought was important because there was a reference to Travis Tritt, and then the plate. Let's see, and then, then last night on the 26th, my throat was hurting for no reason, and I thought maybe it was connected to her, I don't know. So, that's all for this one at this point in time. Like I said, join the Psychic Sleuth group. If you don't believe me on whatever, you can ask me for screenshots, I'll get them to you. Or, I would really appreciate your support on the petition. Please sign it. Please join the group. If you have any questions, any validations, would like a private reading, you can message me on thepsychicsleuth@gmail.com. Sorry it took me so long to get this done. I had a really rough couple weeks. Last week, my car and my phone got stolen, so I was out of luck for a little bit, and it's just been a hell of a time. So, I thank you all for watching, liking, supporting me. I have to say happy birthday to my mentor, Rachel, who's in heaven. She passed last year, and today's her birthday. and I miss her every day. So I just had to do a shout out to her because she helped me a lot with my life, and or as far as my gifts are concerned and whatnot. She taught me a lot, so never forget her. Anyways, I'm gonna cry, so I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much for liking and subscribing.